So, welcome back to our Minecraft in Unity series. Last time we've been discussing how you can add crafting to your Minecraft game. And in this episode, I'd like to teach you how you can add Minecraft's iconic hotbar to your game, which is like this kind of inventory snippet that you got at the very bottom of your HUD. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our progress. So what I've prepared in advance for today is these two sprites. The first one being a slot for our hotbar, and the second one the corresponding selection tool that we're gonna call selector. So first, let's open our canvas and a empty game object for our hotbar, and add a new hotbar script to it. I'll simply take the one that you can find for free in the description. Next, let's add an empty game object for our slots that contains a horizontal layout group that aligns in the middle center. Now we can add a new image with our slot sprite attached to it for each of our slots, like that. So now we only have to increase the width of our horizontal layout group and set the anchor of our hotbar itself to bottom center, and let's pivot as well, so we can now make it align to the bottom of our screen by changing its Y position to 0, like that. Finally, if you've been following my tutorials, make sure to add an inventory slot script to your slots as well. And now we can add them right here to hotbar slots. As you will see in a second, I've made this script very simple, as you can simply select your inventory slots you want to copy and drag them right here, and these will then be mapped onto our hotbar slots. Next, we can add the prefab for our inventory items right here, and add another empty game object to a hotbar that we can store our items at, and assign it right here. But somehow I'm still missing something, and that is our selector. So let's make our selector a new image with the correct sprite, which should be this one. And to make it a bit more authentic, I will increase the size of it a bit. Just like that. And the only thing that's left to do for our hotbar is to drag the selector right in here. And right off we go. And by using my mouse wheel, I'm now able to switch the selected slot of my hotbar. Dragging an item from my inventory, like right here, will indeed cause my hotbar to display it accordingly. But if I now click right, I'm not able to place any blocks anymore. And the reason for that is that my hotbar script will automatically enable you to change your active block for placement as well. But in order to do that, we have to do a little bit of setup. And in this case, setup means to go into the items folder, if you've been following the tutorials, and assigning the corresponding block prefabs in this block field for each of the items you got. And this block prefab will then be assigned to the player's active block on movement of the hotbar's selector. And don't forget to assign the hotbar as a whole to hotbar on the player script. And now even if I decide to craft those into oak planks, I'm able to place those right here, and their amount decreases until I've used all of them. And now I think we got everything we need in order to take a look into the scripts. So regarding our item scriptable object, the only thing that's changed is this block reference right here, which our item object used to tell the player which placeable block the scriptable object is assigned to. Inside our player script, we now got our hotbar right here, and on the other hand, the active block field is now hidden, which doesn't really matter, but I don't want myself to intervene there. In the try place block function, and I want to quit here and don't execute the rest if there aren't any blocks left, which means active block is null, and if I manage to place one, I want to decrease the block that's selected. Finally, let's continue to the hotbar script, which has these inspector values that you saw earlier, and in the update method that's continuously getting called, we paste the inventory slots that we want to copy from the inventory to the hotbar, and check if the player wants to move the selector. The paste function itself looks like that. At the beginning we want to remove all of the copied items and then copy them in here, iterate to all of the inventory slots that we assigned right above here. If it actually holds an item, we want to instantiate a copy of it for our hotbar and place it at the correct slot and copy its amount as well. Clearing the hotbar looks like that. Reiterate to all of its slots, and if it holds an item, redelete it and set the item attribute of the slot that had held the item to null. Instantiating a new item looks as follows. We instantiate a new game object out of our item prefab with our item parent as its parent, then set its position, its sprite, to what's given from the scriptable item, its name, scriptable item, and finally assign its slot and vice versa, and then return it. When it comes to our selector, we check whether the mouse wheel has been rolled upwards, then we decrease the integer that refers to the selector's position by 1, if possible, which means if we did reach its end already, and by scrolling the mouse wheel downwards, we want to move right with the selector. Depending on the selected slot index, we get the position of the hotbar slot with the given index and assign it to the selector. Then we want to notify our player that his block held has been changed. Of course, if there isn't an item in the slot, we don't. But if so, we try to find the player using the player tag. If we weren't able to find him, we cancel right here. But if we manage to find him, we access the block prefab of the scriptable item of the slot that's selected again and put this into player.activeBlock. And finally, decrease selected item is called each time the player places a block successfully. Then we access the inventory item and call its increase amount method. And since this one is for increasing and this for decreasing, we need to put a minus in front of our decrement. And this one we should already know. Does just change the amount variable of the item and update its UI text. And if the amount of the exact same item reaches 0, we want to remove it and tell its previous slot that it has been removed. And just like above, we try to find the player by its tag, and if that was successfully, we set the player's active block to null. And that's all we wanted to do today. If you want to get access to this entire demo scene, please check out my Patreon, and I'll see you next time.